Have you ever wondered how a robot knows what to do? How does it know when to move, when to stop, or when to avoid an obstacle? Is a robot actually thinking? Well, today, we're going to look inside a robot and discover how its different parts work together. And don't worry, this isn't a complicated robotics class. We'll break it down into simple parts. Because just like in life, hindi naman kailangang alam mo agad ang lahat. Ang mahalaga, alam mo kung paano pagsasama-samahin ang mga bagay na meron ka.
Welcome to my channel, Science with a Touch of Hugot. Let's explore, discover short stories, and discover ourselves.
So let's get started. What is robotics? Robotics is the field of science and technology that involves designing, building, programming, and using robots. A robot is a machine designed to perform tasks, often automatically or with some level of human control. Robots can be found in factories, hospitals, homes, laboratories, and even in space. But how exactly do they work? To understand that, we need to look at their basic components. Sensors. The robot's sensors. Sensors allow robots to detect information from their surroundings. For example, a robot may use a camera to see, a distance sensor to detect obstacles, or a temperature sensor to measure heat. In simple terms, sensors give robots information about the world around them. Think of sensors as the robot's eyes, ears, and other senses. And here's the hugot. Parang tao lang. Mahirap gumawa ng tamang desisyon kung hindi mo alam kung ano ang nangyayari. A robot needs information before it can respond appropriately. But sensing alone isn't enough. The robot also needs something to process that information, and that's where the controller comes in. Controller, the robot's brain. The controller is the part of the robot that processes information and makes decisions based on its programming. It receives information from the sensors and determines what the robot should do next. For example, if a sensor detects an obstacle, the controller may tell the robot to stop or change direction. So we can think of the controller as the robot's brain. But here's the hugot, hindi lahat ng tahimik ay walang iniisip. Baka nagpo-process lang. The controller processes information and sends instructions to the robot's other components. But how does the robot actually move? That's the job of the actuators. Actuators, the robot's muscles. Actuators are components that produce movement. They include motors, servo motors, and other mechanisms that allow robots to move their arms, wheels, joints, and other parts. If the controller decides, move forward, the actuators make that movement happen. So if the controller is the brain, the actuators are like the robot's muscles. And here's a little hugot. Hindi sapat na alam mo ang gagawin. Minsan, kailangan mo ring kumilos. Because just like in life, having a plan means little if you never take action. Power supply. The robot's energy source. Of course, none of these components can work without energy. That's where the power supply comes in. A robot may use batteries or another source of electrical power to provide the energy needed by its electronic components and motors. The power supply allows the sensors, controller, and actuators to function. And here's our hugot. Kahit gaano ka ka-capable, mauubusan ka rin kapag wala ka ng energy. So yes, even robots need to recharge. And honestly, so do we. Programming. Giving the robot instructions. Now we have the hardware, but how does the robot know what to do? Through programming. Programming is the process of giving a robot a set of instructions that tells it how to respond to different situations. For example, a program might tell a robot, move forward, turn left, stop when an obstacle is detected. The robot follows these instructions based on its program and the information received from its sensors. And here's the hugot. Hindi lahat ng sumusunod ay walang sariling isip. Minsan, programmed lang talaga. But unlike humans, robots don't simply decide things based on feelings or personal experiences. They follow the instructions and logic provided by their programming. Putting everything together. Imagine a robot moving toward an object. First, its sensors detect the object. The information is sent to the controller. The controller processes the information based on its programming. It then sends instructions to the actuators. The actuators move the robot, and all of these components receive the energy they need from the power supply. So the process looks something like this. Sense, process, decide, act. Sensor sense. The controller processes. Programming determines what should happen. Actuators create movement, and the power supply provides the energy needed by the system. Here's the bigger hugot. Parang buhay lang. Hindi sapat na marunong kang makaramdam, mag-isip, o kumilos. Kailangan marunong mong pagsama-samahin ang lahat. Is a robot really thinking? A robot can process information. It can make decisions based on programmed rules. It can respond to its environment. But this is different from human thinking and consciousness. A robot doesn't experience emotions, intentions, or consciousness in the same way humans do. So when a robot appears to be thinking, what is actually happening is that its sensors, controller, programming, and actuators are working together to produce a response. In simple terms, a robot doesn't need to think like a human to behave intelligently. And here's the hugot. Minsan, hindi lahat ng response ay dahil may feelings. Baka algorithm lang. The big picture. So, what have we learned? A robot is not just one machine. It is a system of interconnected components. We have sensors. The robot senses. Controller. The robot's processing center. Programming. The instructions. Actuators. The robot's muscles. Power supply. The robot's energy source. When these components work together, the robot can sense its environment, process information, make programmed decisions, and perform actions. And that is the big picture of robotics. So the next time you see a robot moving, don't just look at the movement. Think about what is happening behind that movement. Something is sensing, something is processing, something is following instructions, something is providing energy, and something is making the robot move. That's the fascinating world of robotics. And remember, a robot may have sensors, a controller, programming, and actuators. But just like us, what matters is how all the parts work together. So don't worry if you don't understand everything about robotics yet. Hindi kailangang perfect ang bawat bahagi. Ang mahalaga, gumagana kapag pinagsama-sama. Keep learning, keep wondering, and always remember, may hugot man ang buhay, may science din ang lahat.
Thank you for learning with me today. Remember, biggest classroom. Don't forget to subscribe for more lessons. Keep finding the hugot in every day. See you in the next lesson.